Hello once again, YouTube. Scott Levin here with my good friend, Charlie the Butcher, also known as, to his dear friends, Charlie Resch is his real name, and you know it's fresh if you get it from Charlie Resch.
That's right.
Is that right?
You pronounce that good.
What is Resch? What kind of name is Resch?
It's a German heritage, and when I was in grammar school, they all mispronounced it. So I was sitting in class, and I was a little overweight, chubby little kid, and they goes, "Where's Mr. Roche?" Roche. And I would never answer because that was my name, and I was scared to tell the teacher that that's not how you pronounce my name. So I'd sit there and I'd raise my hand, and I'm Mr. Roche.
All right.
I'm really Mr. Resch.
Listen, there's no secret that Charlie the Butcher is known everywhere in Western New York and around the region. Everybody knows and has had Charlie the Butcher's roast beef and other products. This is, your son is now the fourth generation. You're the third generation. Tell me how this started back in 1914, I believe.
I wasn't born then.
Neither was I.
Neither
was my father.
I may look like that, but I wasn't born then. My grandfather kind of was a butcher in the old Washington market in the 20s, and then in the early 30s he became mayor of the city.
Mayor from 1930 to 1934.
That's right.
I believe.
He was only served one term. He was a Republican.
Right.
He was a tough mayor. He was kind of mayor that he rode around the city. I remember my grandmother telling me, if they're on a Saturday night, he'd go out with the police department and ride around the cars. And if they have an issue or whatever, he'd get out, and somebody was doing something wrong, he'd get out of that car with the police officer and say, "I'm the mayor of the city, and that's not going to cut it in this city."
Ooh, he was a tough guy.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid. He said, "This is my city, and you're not going to pull that stuff off in my city."
So he was a butcher, not a baker, but a mayor.
He was a mayor, and after he was mayor, we went back. They were in the Broadway market at that point.
Right, when it was really booming on the east side.
Yeah,
right.
It was Sattlers. It was
right,
live chickens. They were killing all these kind of crazy stuff.
Right.
And my father was young. And my uncle was a little younger than him, and my grandfather developed he bumped his leg on a meat block. He developed an infection, and they didn't have penicillin and all that stuff back then.
Right.
And he passed away within 3 weeks, leaving my grandmother with two, a 16-year-old, 18-year-old, and a butcher shop in the Broadway market. So she hired someone to run the butcher shop, and then sent my father to UB. And my uncle then grew up. We went to the war, and my father and my uncle ended up running the butcher shop in the Broadway market all through the late 40s, 50s.
Selling just meats and steaks, but
Ton of meat.
Charlie the Butcher, as we know it today, hadn't developed by then. Right?
No, by then I was a little kid born, but they would bring me in there and sit me down on a little meat crate, and I'd watch what was going on in there, and they let me do dishes and stuff like that. But that was, through the heyday of the Broadway market era, when everybody shopped in the city. So I grew up in there, worked there through high school, went away to the University of Toledo, got a degree in chemistry.
Chemistry?
Or some
Oh, that's great for the meat business, yeah.
Right.
Sure,
So I don't know, but I had a little entrepreneur in myself, so I was like, okay, I'm going to stay in the family business. I'm going to come back and work at the Broadway market forever and ever and ever.
Right.
But back in the 70s, the mid-70s, late 70s, dynamics changed. Supermarkets were built around the outlet rings of the city. Nobody had to come into the city to shop anymore. So by the mid-80s, there were less and less people coming to the Broadway market. What they were going to, well, you might remember some of them, Harvest the Best,
Sure.
Loblaws, all the old supermarkets, the Bell's supermarkets were
Right.
big back in then. It changed the dynamics of how people shopped. So I'm sitting there with a whole meat case full of meat and no customers. Well, I always liked to cook. I said, I'm going to start cooking some of this meat. So on a Saturday, I took some Polish sausage and I boiled it up, and I stood out there put the Polish sausage on a stick for $1. And my name was Charlie. I was a butcher. I go, okay, I'm going to call myself Charlie the Butcher, and I'm going to sell a piece of hot Polish sausage on a stick for $1. I don't even think it was $1. I think it was 50 cents.
This is out in front of the Broadway market.
It was in front of our butcher stand.
Okay, right.
Of which there was old school, there was a lot of
Right.
politics going on, all that, and I'm out there selling this. And all of a sudden, these kids are coming up Grandma, give me this, give me that. And the grandma's going, no, I'll buy this by the pound and I'll cook it at home. No, I want to eat it right now. I said, I might be onto something. So let's take some of our heritage. I had a top round, and let's develop on what this thing called a roast beef on Kimmelwick was. Roast beef on Kimmelwick was in all the taverns.
Right.
It was hand sliced at the bar and all that.
It started at the waterfront, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere down
the
there.
old history.
Because the legend is that a barkeep wanted people to drink more, so he put salt on the buns.
A German immigrant had a tavern down on the waterfront.
Right.
And he sold pretzels and beer.
Right.
Salt on the pretzels, drink more beer.
Drink a little more profits.
But he remembered from his German heritage that they would put caraway and salt on their rye bread. He said, I'm going to invent a sandwich that I'm going to take thin sliced roast beef, put it on a Kaiser roll, and then I'm going to top the Kaiser roll with caraway and pretzel salt. And I'm going to serve it with a fresh horseradish. And that was, so the legend goes, it was invented in Buffalo. I was in Germany a number of years ago thinking it came from Germany, everybody knows about it. And I'm doing a trade show and I'm carving beef on whack thinking that nobody had a clue what this was. And then they look and they point at this caraway and they go, my grandmother would use some of that somewhere, but we don't know what this sandwich is. They never heard of it because it was invented right here in Buffalo, New York.
Right.
Salt on the roll, drink more beer.
So you're there, you're selling it on the stick?
I started, yep.
Doing all that?
I started doing that.
Light went off.
Yeah.
And then you opened up what? What'd you do next?
I had a little kiosk in the Broadway Market.
Yep.
That we operated for a number of years. Some of the old school Broadway Market people weren't real pleased with that because there's supposed to be butcher shops and bakeries.
Right,
and
the way it was, no
not
change.
Cooking things, no change. But that started, and then we moved out to, we had that going, then we started something which was a reminder of marketing. And I didn't know much about marketing, I was a butcher. But I said, you know what, let's take this carving little concept and go into people's homes with a piece of turkey, a piece of roast beef, and we'll go into their homes and we'll do a party for them. Basket of rolls, 2 pieces of beef, and we started that. What happened was, it spread throughout the city, kind of like, who's this guy? He'll come into your house and he'll carve roast beef and turkey and all that. And that was a strong marketing pull-through for us to get the Charlie the Butcher brand. All the influential people in Buffalo said, well, we got to have Charlie the Butcher for that.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And of course, back then, we were doing a lot of television stuff.
Yeah, you were on Good Morning America, Regis and
we did Regis, we did all that stuff.
Kathy.
We did the Channel 17 with Irv, Rick, and Tom.
Right,
Backyard barbecues with Tom Jones. And
that was
stuff
big
like
for you.
Yeah, and people still talk, people that are still alive still talk about
Right.
that today.
And your big location at the airport where everybody goes to, even presidents have stopped there. You were lucky to get that spot. That's a golden spot right there.
Yeah, it's funny. The fellow that owned it had a hot dog stand. He didn't want to, his family said, you're not opening it up. We're not going to work for you anymore this year. And he said, what do you mean you're not going to work for me? I said, we're not, Dad. You're old. You can't do this anymore. Oh, geez, well, I'll do it myself. And we went and made an offer. We'll take it over for 3 years and see how it goes. We got it. That was 28 years ago.
And now you have your sons, 2 sons, right?
I have 2
That are in
sons.
the business?
One's in the business. The
Right.
other's a pharmacist down in South Carolina.
Right.
And my one son is with us, checking all the employees.
So it's down now to the 4th generation now. You still work every day, right?
Yeah. I make it look like I work. I have
It's fun.
I have good people. I have good managers and good teams that they can run it without me.
And how many locations do you have now?
I got 2 Speedway gas station concepts,
Yep.
which we took it to another level. We said they have prime real estate. Why can't we put good food into a gas station rather than the roller dogs and things like that? So it's home meal replacement. We got 2 Speedways, one in Orchard Park, one in Williamsville, and then we have another one in East Aurora that fulfill that home meal replacement.
Right.
Good prime rib dinners on Thursday, good quality food.
And we're here on Elmwood Drive.
Right, we're on
Right
Elmwood.
here in downtown Buffalo.
We opened this location a year ago.
Which is beautiful.
Being right back into the city, good neighborhood business, good neighborhood. And again, all the stuff we do, we cook right on site.
Right. So there's no more actual butcher.
No.
This is all prepared foods, ready to go out the door,
Yeah,
but you still wear the hat.
I still wear the hat. And people go, why do you wear that hat? And I kind of tell them, I go, you know what? If any piece of meat ever came off that carving bar and was tough and chewy, people have been known to throw the sandwich back there.
All right, so let's talk about your menu. What is your favorite thing on the menu? If you could only have one meal, what would it be on your menu?
Ooh, you're like Dave McKinley, you asked the tough
Yeah,
questions.
these are the tough questions. That is a McKinley question, you're right?
No, I
It
think
is.
it's probably roast pork Sunday.
Roast pork Sunday.
Yeah. It's a roasted pork loin done overnight. That's one of my favorites. It's lean, it's a loin. And that, I'm German, so you might put it with a little sauerkraut or
Got
mashed
it.
potatoes or something like that.
So where does Charlie the Butcher live?
Wherever I want.
Downtown? Are you in the burbs?
No, we're out.
Southtowns?
We live out in Williamsville.
Oh, you're out in
we-
Williamsville,
We have a
okay.
summer home up in Canada, which we adore and we love.
Beautiful.
My great grandfather bought a property up there in 1905. Before there was a Peace Bridge. No
Oh,
Peace
really?
Bridge.
Yeah.
He'd rent a horse and buggy for the summer and go up there and live right on the lake. It was near Crystal Beach Park. I remember that.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Golf.
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 Are you a good golfer?
No.
You're not a good golfer?
No.
What other hobbies? Any other hobbies?
Played
Or
tennis
just
for a
golf?
number of years till I got old.
Oh, so
my
you're
shoulder.
an athlete. I didn't know you were an athlete. Golf and tennis?
I played the game of it. I made it look like I was an athlete.
Got it. Now, if you were going to go out with your family, your wife for dinner, where would you go for dinner? Where would people find you possibly on a Friday or Saturday night?
Probably home doing takeout.
Home with takeout. That's not a bad.
But I won't say that. Buffalo is unique. They have when I travel, when we were in Italy, in Milan, doing a food show. That's when I'll go to the different and taste the different cuisines around the world.
Right.
At home, I kind of like just stay at home and cook at home, or get some takeout Greek or something.
So you're a home guy.
Kind of, but there's such a wide variety now. Of course, the classics, the Hutchins, the Tempos,
Right. You like good food.
Lombardos, all
love
these,
that.
all that classic Buffalo.
Where's the
food
last
we-
vacation you took, Charlie?
Where we were down Hilton Head.
I love Hilton
in
Head.
December. Yeah,
Because you're a golfer.
I'm a golfer.
Golfer. All right. Have you seen any movies lately? If you're going to go see a movie, what would you like to see?
My wife asks me every day, "We're going to see a movie." I go, "No,
No, you don't want to go see the
nah, I
movie.
guess
All right. Any pets?
no pets. Allergic to dogs.
pets, you're-
Love dogs, but I can't. They make me sneeze."
Car or truck? Do you drive a car or a truck?
SUV.
SUV. All right. So you're like me, SUV guy.
Yeah, I'm big.
You're a big. You
I
are a
can't-
big guy.
I can't fit in those small things anymore.
Very well. Are you surprised by your success, or that Buffalo has really wrapped its arms around you guys?
Good question. I'm kind of humbled by it. I talk at the different shows of what I see as success. To me, success isn't how many restaurants I have, or how many employees I have, or how much money I make, or any of that. It's what my customer says about my product. And if they say, "Charlie, that was a great sandwich," then that makes me feel good here. And that's how I measure my success.
Now, you are a Buffalo guy, born and raised many generations. What is it about Buffalo that you love so much?
I think it's the diversification of the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods today are still there. They've changed. They're not what they were 30, 40, 50 years ago, but there's still identities and proudness to their neighborhoods and what they are. You look at the Broadway Market area, of course it's the east side. It's there, it's not what we remember, but there are people living there and supporting some of it. You go to the west side, there's been transition over there to some new stuff. And of course, the focus of the investment has all been put to Canal Side,
Right.
which is okay. I just hope it doesn't come at the expense of some of these other neighborhoods.
Right. But the people in this town are amazing too, aren't they?
Yeah. They're all heartfelt. They're strong sports teams, supporters.
Right.
We'll go all over and run into people that are Bills fans.
Are you a Bills fan?
Yeah.
All right. I knew you were a Bills fan.
Yeah.
Well, it is great to get to know you. You think you'll ever get into politics like your great-grandfather? He, by the way, your great-grandfather was the first mayor to actually have his office in the new city hall. That's when
Right.
it was
My
built.
grandfather was the
Yeah.
very first in this city hall.
Yeah.
It was a works project.
Right.
And,
you think you'll ever get into politics or no?
I'd rather be behind the scene.
Rather be behind the scenes.
This too, it's gotten a little bit rough.
All right.
And, nah. I'll
You
be
ready for a
fine.
sandwich?
I'm ready for a
All
sandwich.
right, we're going to have a sandwich, folks. But Charlie, thank you so much for your time. It is great to get to know Charlie Resch. You know it's fresh with Charlie Resch, Charlie the Butcher, a real Buffalo booster. Don't forget, click the subscribe button right here in the corner, and you will not miss the next Get to Know upload. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.